right, guys, video number 1388 is proof of Cunningham's law. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, Cunningham's law says the best way to get the right answer on the internet is not to ask a question, it's to post the wrong answer. And in 1388, I made all kinds of mistakes putting together a LockMIC. I believed what I found on the internet. I put together the example, and it was just a total disaster. And you guys let me know it. Hundreds of comments giving me a bunch of suggestions, everything from wrap your head with tin foil to improve your soldering technique to just use a phone tap or get yourself a set of a stethoscope and install a sensitive microphone inside of it. Anyway, all kinds of stuff. So I've made some improvements. This is version 2. And it's not without a little bit of help, read a lot of help from you guys. So instead of using that very complex stereo type crystal and soldering it myself, I bought a dozen of these from eBay. These are the larger 1-inch piezoelectric crystals, and this is just a single crystal factory soldered, so it's not overheated. And I've got to say, playing around with this, the sound off of this is much better. This is the cheapest possible solution. I think it's a dozen of them for around $6. Really, really cheap. Next up, two of you guys had some stuff sent to Lock Lab. The first one is this little guy, the AD35 Transducer. This is designed to be used as a guitar pickup. This one has a little volume control built into it. I'm going to leave that on full, and I'm going to leave the gain. I'm going to adjust all gain on the digital recorder. And it's going to be the same for all of these because I want it to be an even field. I do have a plug. The plug is removable from this guy, and he's just off to the side. The next one, this guy also, someone sent 2 of these, and it's probably a good thing because one of them didn't work at all. Anyway, same kind of thing. I believe that both this AD35 and this one probably have the same piezoelectric crystal inside of there, just with slightly different package. They're all almost exactly the same diameters. These are all straight wired though, so I'm going to have to use some kind of impedance matching and adapter. I've got some adapters here to plug it into my digital recorder, and also some transformers here to get the impedance right, which was probably one of my biggest mistakes on the test run on 1388. I'll put the link to that down in the description, by the way. Next, and this is quite a piece of work right here. This took a while to get here from Australia. Kurt the Phantom hand built this, and way back he used to build these for some pretty famous bands. I don't know if you guys heard of bands like Deep Purple and Black Sabbath, things like that. Well, famous like that. He also recreated the circuit board and put the Lock Lab logo in there. So very cool. This is the only one that is independently powered. This one has a 9-volt battery. And he also put an extra loop in here in case I wanted to put this into a project box. I could cut this loop, install an on-off switch, and might very well end up doing that. The only modification I made to this is that when Kurt put this together, he put in his letter he didn't have the right size piezo. This was the one that was on, and it's roughly about a third of the size, I would guess. So in all fairness, to keep, again, a level playing field between all of these, I have replaced Kurt's little crystal with a 1-inch crystal. And again, it's factory soldered. The sound off of this, Kurt says it can pick up the sound of a fart on a church pew from 100 meters away. We'll find out about that. This last one is another piece of history. C.R. Williams sent this one in. It's quite substantial in terms of weight. It's also very sensitive, came with some very detailed instructions packed inside of a depot pack. There's the national stock number, and this is the 2049XMA, and we used to call them when I was in EOD the bionic ear. These things are amazing in terms of picking up sound. We used to put one of these when we were working on bombs. So when you're working on a bomb, you really want to know if the mechanical clockwork starts ticking. This is the thing that you'd be listening. And it came with a little box. I suppose it was an impedance matcher. We may have to do that on this guy. And then there were a pair of headphones. So one guy's job would be to listen for any clockwork starting up. These were incredibly sensitive. They're also fairly delicate, despite this heavy metal housing on this thing. This was actually designed by a guy named Marty Kaiser, who is a legend in the covert surveillance field, so I really expect good things from this. All right, let's find out. The plan here is to try each of these. I'm going to take, this is actually a challenge lock, so I don't know if I'm going to get it open. I'm going to put it into the vise, and then I'm going to try to place all of the crystals about right there. So they're all going to get direct contact with the lock. I'll use black electrical tape. If there's any kind of foam on it, like on this guy, I will remove that absorbent double-sided foam tape, and it'll be in direct contact with the lock to get the best possible feedback. I'll clamp it up on the vise. I'll probably rake it for a few seconds and try SPPing it. So total picking length for each of these would probably be around 20 seconds. I'll remain silent when I do that, and you guys at the end will figure out which one of these gives us the best results, and that will become the new LockMIC for the Lock Lab. All right, let's go ahead and clamp this up, get started with the very first, the cheapest one. All right, guys, this is the cheap solution. I've got that with a double layer of electrical tape. I'm going to put this in the vise in such a way that I'm not clamping the piezoelectric crystal, so it's kind of hanging there free on the side. I am going to try to rake it first, and then I will go ahead and SPP it. I'm going to remain quiet while I do that so you can hear what's going on. All right, that ought to give you a pretty good idea. What I have on this, I've gone ahead and I've spliced it. So I have an adapter cable connecting it to the digital recorder, and I've also connected up the transformer to it. I have the gain turned up as loud as I can go. All right, guys, this next one is the AD35. It's kind of clunky, but I got it on there. I had to take the rubber padding off in order to get this to clamp on there, but it does work. And the response on this one seems to be quite a bit better, and at least graphically. So let's see what we got here. I'll remain quiet. And there we go. I didn't expect that. All right, had a little problem. It started falling out of the vise, but I don't think that really affected anything. All right, this is the no-namer. We've got that taped in there. I had to remove some foam from the bottom of this one, but I think it's going to work okay. Got that clamped in there. It's not touching the vise. Let's see what we got on this bad boy. All right, again, I didn't expect that on a challenge lock. All right, that was the no-namer. All right, guys, this is the one by the Phantom. I've put a brand new 9-volt battery. We do have the red light indicating that something is working. When I plugged it into the digital recorder, I did not use the impedance matching transformer. I just plugged it straight into the adapter, and it seems to be working very well. On the side here, we have the raw transducer. I've just taped it. And let's see what we have. All right, that's the one from the Phantom. Let's go ahead and connect up our last one, the one from C.R. Williams. All right, guys, the 2049 from C.R. Williams, it's pretty clunky, quite a bit larger than any of the other ones, but I think it's going to work. Get this dude clamped, and it is not touching the vise. And let's see what we have here. All right, guys, that was the 2049 from C.R. Williams. All right, guys, there you go. 5 different technologies. Well, they're very similar. A lot of these did use the same 1-inch piezoelectric, but I think you'll agree that the performance between these was quite different. Some performed much, much better than others. For example, these guys, these bare crystals that I bought off of eBay, no matter what I did, these produced that humming, the feedback. I don't know why. I tried several different ones. I tried different levels of gain, and these always produced that hum. Whereas some of these others that used the same crystal, they really didn't provide us with a lot of that hum to deal with. Anyway, a couple things I'd like to know from you. Which one do you like better? And probably more importantly, do you think it's really worthwhile to include amplified sounds of the lock clicking? Does it help you learn faster? Does it speed your learning curve? Because I got to say, it's a lot of extra effort to try to compile 2 different sound files. So if it's not worth it, I don't want to waste your time or mine. Let me know. Go down to the comments and tell me what you think. Appreciate your time, guys. Stay safe. Stay legal. Phantom, thank you, sir, for putting this together. This is very cool. And also, Mr. Williams, Thank you for sending this guy in, the 2049. This thing is awesome. Brings back a lot of memories. Thanks, guys.